We're thinking critically about critical thinking on Film Threat Reviews. Hi, I'm Alan Ning. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we are reviewing the movie Critical Thinking. Before we begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below on what you thought of the film. And with that, Critical Thinking. Chess is the great equalizer. It's not about where you come from, but it's about how you play. Critical Thinking is based on the true story of the 1998 Miami-Jackson Senior High School chess team, who, despite the lack of funding from the district, went on to win the National Chess Championship in Los Angeles. It's directed by John Leguizamo. It stars John Leguizamo, Rachel Bay Jones, Michael Kenneth Williams. So, Zorianna, what are your thoughts about Critical Thinking?
Wow, there is so much to love about this movie. It's not a big budget. It's not splashy. It's a little bit of a paint by numbers, formulaic. However, I just thought it was just such a little gem of a film. The director, John Leguizamo, I mean, is there anything this guy can't do? And why is he so underrated? I mean, comedy, he excels in that. Drama excels in that. He does a lot of plays in theater. He excels in that. Now he's the director here. And I find that as a director, he excels. Even though he's the big name in this movie, the story belongs to these kids, many of whom are pretty much virtual unknowns. I mean, they're working actors, but they don't have a lot of credits to be associated with. And he just smartly knows, like, just as the teacher guiding his students, it's kind of the same thing with this film. He knows when to step back. His character is there to support the kids on this journey. And of course, because it's based on a true story, we know the outcome. So It's not about, ooh, will they or won't they? It's more about how's that journey gonna be? And in this summer of Black Lives Matter, I think this movie fits in perfectly with that theme and is required viewing for kids today.
Yeah, I'll go back to, what can't he do? One thing you realize in this is he could probably teach. He is just that good of a teacher, and or at least acting like one. I saw Critical Thinking back at South by Southwest, so this was long before the world came crashing down around us, and I did enjoy it. I think where I gave it a kind of I liked it, but there are certainly a lot of the teacher using tough love to teach their disadvantaged students and bringing them to some form of victory. That story's been told a lot, and I would say that this is a good one. I don't know necessarily it rises above Stand By Me or Dangerous Minds but it's a good, uplifting, heartwarming story.
I think because it shows us the struggle that inner city kids can often go through. The statement, chess is the great equalizer, is said in this film. And it is so true because it's all about mind moves, and it doesn't matter what your economic background is. However, in the case of these kids, their economic background, their location, their lack of funding is what's preventing them to get up to the podium, so to speak, and to present that opportunity that's up here in their brains. And so it really shines a light that, it's not all equal in terms of how we get to our destination, because some people are more some people are more advantageous due to their skin color and their zip code. And so seeing these kids overcome that, overcome parents who maybe are drinking, overcome drug dealers who are pulling them into a darker world. There's a jarring shooting that happens very early on in this film. And as their teacher, John Leguizamo, says, this is daily life for these kids. Yeah. And it's difficult, and it's not pretty, and it's not safe, yet he is there to help them get to that podium.
Well, I think, ironically, that's the title of the movie, Critical Thinking. It's this idea that, you are not of the community you live in, the family you're born in, but it's this idea of how getting the skills it takes to rise above your situation. and to deal with that. I mean, that's essentially what critical thinking is. Anybody can play chess. It doesn't matter what economic background you can, or the skin color, nor your gender. It's all about critical thinking, strategizing, thinking ahead. And that is, in a way, a tool to get out of your current situation.
I also like the fact that we actually get to know these kids much better than in other films where they just kind of gloss over the kids. We see them like as a pack. Here, the film takes the time to show us a little bit of backstory on some of the characters. There's the one boy whose father is mourning the loss of his wife and prefers to sleep all day on the couch and drink. There is the other young man who has these drug dealers who are trying to get him to go into that lifestyle. So we see these backstories, and even though we don't really know when they began or how they end in the aftermath of this film, it's just getting some characters a little more well-rounded as opposed to just a group of boys playing chess. And I like that too.
Yeah. Like I said, I like the movie. It's one of those, if I say it, it makes it sound like it's a criticism, but it's good. You're going to find inspiration from it. It's a feel-good story, but it really just lays there in the middle of the pack there.
And it's based on a true story. So to a certain extent, if you do have issues with the story, well, you can't really, because it did happen. It's true.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's true is even more inspirational. And at the end of the film, I love that we see all these characters all grown up, and we see how they ended up at the end as mature adults. So I thought that was great too.
Yeah. Although I do wonder how much liberty they take, because you do want to create compelling characters, and and when you have a movie inspired by real events, you just wonder, well, okay, was that person really like this, or was this more out of narrative variety
for dramatic effect and stuff like that? Yeah, exactly.
But said that, a good movie, you're gonna have a good time. So just based on the fact that you did like it, you were inspired by it, you thought, overall it's a well-rounded film. I'm thinking you probably gave it an 8.
I did. You're right. Yeah. And I'm going to say that you probably gave it a 7.
Yeah, 7.5.
You like those halves.
The thing is, I wrote the review back at Sundance, and so I tend to use those halvesies. And I feel it's kind of unfair to make you say, well, was it the 7 or was it the 7.5? All right. Well, with that, we reviewed Critical Thinking, now in virtual cinemas. Go to filmthread.com for more news, reviews on independent films. And with that, let's get out of here.